glitchy. Okay, we are good to go.
All right. Good evening and welcome to the Pearle L. Crawford Memorial Library Board of Trustees meeting on Tuesday, March 23rd at 6:15. Call to order is pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Chapter 30A, Section 18. This meeting of the Dudley Board of Pearle L. Crawford Memorial Library Trustees will be conducted in total or part via remote participation. Specific information and the general guidelines for the remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website at dudleymass.gov. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so in the following manner: via Facebook Live and or a posted link at dudleymass.gov. Following the meeting, no in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access proceedings in real time via technology means. So we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pat
I have the flag back there.
Pat has her flag. There you go. So I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Joyce, we have to do a roll call of all the members present.
Okay, so roll call attendance. We will start with Ben. Go for it.
Ben Kramer present.
Ed Bazinet present.
Pat Korch present.
Joyce Narodzinski present. And Drusilla.
I don't count for that though.
You're here. You're here. So review of meeting minutes of February 23rd. You were all emailed a copy.
I'll make a motion to accept them as read.
Second.
Okay, and we'll need a roll call vote.
Ben Craver, yes.
Ed Bazinet, yes.
Pat Korch, yes.
Joyce Narodzinski, yes. All right, and wait a minute, that's all right. So then the next is the review of meeting minutes of the executive session that was held February 23rd. I'll ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the executive session minutes of February 23rd, but request that we hold the minutes until work is completed.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Ben Craver, yes.
Ed Bazinet, yes.
Pat Korch, yes.
Joyce Narodzinski, yes.
Approved.
All right. And then moving along to the director's report.
So starting with programs, we had 23 for our Backyard Birds program on Monday. Interestingly, although it was a children's program and was advertised as such, Lita tells me that a large portion of the attendees were actually adults with no children in tow. So that was interesting. But I mean, I'm glad that they were able to attend. We have 15 registered for genealogy, which is Thursday's program. So that's quite a good turnout. We average about 4 for a genealogy group. And we actually already have some folks signed up for events the end of April and the beginning of May. So we're doing well in terms of, I think people are starting to get the word that we're doing these programs and starting to be more comfortable with that format. So we are going to experiment a little bit for Earth Day. We're going to try doing some in-person programs limited to 5 at a time and outside. We're going to rope off, it'll be for children, we're going to rope off part of the parking lot, since we have all these exit signs and caution tape, we figure we'll use them. But we're going to do some of the folding tables from the children's department. So each person will have their own tables. So they'll be each kid will have
Nice.
their own table.
Perfect.
We're going to see how that goes. We're still working out the logistics, but we're at least going to try it. And Lita has kind of taken that on.
That
Good
sounds
idea.
fun.
So
That sounds fun.
although I did tell her that I thought that there are 2 different programs she's doing that. One is exploding seed balls. And I was a bit disappointed that didn't involve pyrotechnics. But exploding sounded a little more exciting than it really is.
Well, it's a NASA recipe, so that's probably.
Oh, but I was teasing her that this was much more boring than I thought it was going to be, that the supply list didn't include, black powder. But we're also going to try doing, making a mini garden is what we're billing it as, but it's making a terrarium. We're talking to a couple of local places about possibly donating some of those supplies. We'll see how that goes. And that one will be
Donating what, Drusilla?
supplies for that.
Oh, supplies.
Because, in order to do a terrarium, you need succulents, and succulents are not cheap. So we're going to see if we can at least get some of that covered. Although, of course, our expenses this year, the amount we've spent on programming is nothing. So compared to the usual. So like I said, we decided we'd give it a try. And that one will be for tweens, teens, and adults, but there are multiple sessions, again, 5 people a session, and it's divided by age.
Nice.
So
I do have a question about your upcoming programs. I'm very interested. I want to know what the month-long seed exchange is.
So we are taking a page out of several libraries do this, and it's kind of been an expanding movement. So as anyone who gardens know, you end up with random packets of seeds that you don't know how you got them, or a packet of 50 tomato seeds and you only use 10, and you're like, what do I do with this? So we are setting up a seed exchange station in the library. It's actually here in my bookcases right now. It's waiting to be moved out on April 1st. But so folks can come, and if they want to try growing things, maybe they've never grown anything before and they want to try growing some things and want the seeds, or like I have leftover seeds coming out of my ears. So I've donated quite a few things. Lita has brought some things, and a couple other folks have already put some in here. So we have a good, the bins are herbs, flowers, vegetables, and greens, because we seem to have an awful lot of seeds for things like spinach and kale. And so we have their own little bin.
So how is it going to work? People have to bring in seeds to get
You don't
seeds?
have to. It's kind of like a little free library. Take a book, leave a book. It's take some seeds, leave some seeds. We're going to have the bins out at one of the little tables, and so it'll be contact free. You won't have to talk to a person to do it, and you can rummage through the seeds and take the ones take a couple that you like, or be like, oh, thank heavens, I can finally get rid of all of these and put them in the appropriate bins, and we'll see how it goes.
Actually, you may want to put a sign there that states to people that seeds that are from years past may not have excellent germination.
Yeah, and we are kind of working out the wording for things, but is this part of this is going hand in hand with the seed starting program that we did, where the guy was like, some things grow and some things don't. And I know this I had one variety that my seedlings are about yay high at home. My seed starting setup, and I have one variety that just out of 8, only 2 came up. You never know, even with the stuff. But
that's right.
I thought this was a good way for people to, be able to try seeds and maybe try some other things. And I'm actually kind of jealous. There's a library in Connecticut that took their old card catalog. And their old card catalog is their permanent seed exchange.
Oh, that's great. Yes, I think I remember hearing that.
I was like, darn it, we don't have a card catalog. But
So if people want to bring in seeds, how do you want them to package it?
It can be in a plastic bag. It can be well sealed with tape. I tend to fold the tops over my little packets and seal them with like packing tape, whatever, So long as it's packaged so that I'm not gonna have like tomato seeds everywhere.
Yeah.
It would annoy George if he was vacuuming
Yeah.
every day. But, you know, and I'll try to keep an eye on it because I think I'm the big gardener on staff and, you know, kind of see what's here. And, you know, we're going to kind of try to let people know that if they're not quite sure what they're, you know, how to start seeds or how to grow things from seeds, that I'm happy to kind of walk them through the process. But
Mhm.
like I said, we figured it would be a fun thing to do, and it's
Yeah.
you know, we'll see.
I like that.
So
Mhm.
That caught my eye.
as far as the budget goes, we are in good shape as always. We're getting down to the time of year where I look at how much money we have left to spend in materials and go, oh boy. And trying to figure out how to spend everything that we need to spend. But we are in good shape, and Lita and I are in the process of figuring out what our priorities are between now and the end of the fiscal year.
Any software upgrades or new software that?
The biggest issue we have is that what the materials line item can be spent on is it's limited to things that circulate.
Okay.
It's per the state. So
Mhm.
it's got to be something that we can circulate. So we are looking at, we've been getting quite a few requests for video games lately. I think a lot of
Mhm.
people that, you know, especially teenagers or kids that normally might be doing something else are doing that. So we might purchase some of those, which are a bigger ticket item.
Mhm.
I've been looking at some of the books on CD, which again are a bigger ticket item.
Sure.
We've been looking at our testing books, you know, like the MCATs and the GREs and so on. Those are
Mhm.
several years old, so we might buy those, and those are not cheap. So, like I said, we've kind of been talking about what we're going to do with that, but we're in good shape as far as money goes.
Mhm.
And as far as the facility goes, we have not had anything dramatic happen, knock on wood, in in several weeks. So things are good.
Okay.
All right, so if that's it for that, I wanted to, well, I was hoping to have a lot more information for the people on the board tonight. I have tried calling Studio MLA several times. No one answers the phone. I go through their phone system and I reach Joanne and I've left several messages. No one has returned my call. And the reason I was trying to reach them is I just wanted some information on if we as a group, as the trustees, wanted to move forward and put this back on the front burner and start the process to, you know, go again with the landscape project. If everyone was on board, I wanted to have the idea of what the projections were. You know, when could they start and cost.
As I spoke to her in the late fall, she's much easier to reach by email. So
Who's that?
Joanne from MLA.
Right.
You know, we've touched bases a couple of times, and she's always been very responsive to email, and I would have been happy to contact her for you.
Well, I was going to ask, that's the next question. I was going to ask you to contact her,
because
but I just feel that this is a business and I'm calling them and no one answers the phone and then they don't return calls. I was like, oh.
Sure, from the last thing that she said, that they are essentially furloughed unless they have a project. So they're not in the office. I know she said that there's nobody going into the office and checking the mail. If they're waiting.
And I find that so hard to, that to me sounds really off.
So, and of course it doesn't help that Boston has been much more locked down up until recently than we are. So, but I'd be happy to send her an email.
Yep. If you could send me her email address, I would really appreciate that.
Actually, Drusilla has been her contact.
I was going to say, let me, because she won't know your name. So let me contact her first.
That's fine.
That she will then know that who you are.
Well, I left my name, I left my phone number and, you know, the library name, the town. I mean, I left all that information. So I'm sure she could have looked up the town of Dudley and the Pearle Crawford Library. But
well, I mean, assuming that she even got the message, I don't know that they are able to do their messages. But like
So
I
I don't know how the board feels about going forward. If, I just feel that now with the vaccine being available and things are starting to open up a lot more, I felt that I feel better about going forward with it, but I don't know how everyone else feels. So I had hoped to give you more information tonight, but I
Well,
don't
I
have
think
that.
if Drusilla can make contact, let's just see where they stand as a company at this point,
Yeah,
and make a decision. I feel we're right on the edge of
Mhm.
saying let's
Yeah.
proceed, but
Yeah.
just wait at least until we're all at least in public in meetings.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to get a feeling of how everybody felt about it. And like I said, this is a business, and I just felt that they should have been a little more reachable, even if the office is closed down. That was hard that they didn't return a call. That was, I just feel that this is a big business. This is a big dollar company, and I just was hoping for a little more.
I will say that Lita and I were talking about the fact that, it's a shame that we did have to put the project on hold, because trying to do an outdoor program, we're roping off a section of the parking lot where if
Right.
we'd been moving, we probably would have had a usable space by now.
Yep. So it will be nice to move forward, hopefully.
I'm on board with it. I am a little leery what the situation is going to be with the company. I
Yeah.
agree with you, Joyce. I think other smaller companies are reaching out and
Right.
getting back to me.
Yeah.
So I'm a little,
Exactly.
I'll be
Like I said,
curious.
I have never had a problem reaching Joyce,
Yeah.
but I don't call her. I
Yeah.
email her. So
Yeah, I'll just be
Right.
curious to see what happens. But I also
Yeah.
think we should wait until Dudley's a little more open before we make any grand announcements.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I wanted to get more information from the company first.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
I just feel it's a big enough company that I should have been able to reach somebody. And that was
Yes.
kind of a little disheartening that I was like, oh,
Time will tell. Yep.
yep.
Good.
I mean, they provide a phone number. You would think that somebody would be, maybe not way back months ago, but by now, one person going into the office, checking, just checking in, getting all
Okay,
kinds of stuff
so-
like that.
So is Drusilla going to reach out at this point, and then we wait to hear
Yep.
from Drusilla? Okay.
Yep.
Good.
Any other board member comments and or observations?
No, I'm
No.
glad things are moving along and that in the right direction at this point. I hope we I hope we continue to move forward this way. I mean, I'm talking about health-wise and just where we are in this whole pandemic situation. But
No, I like as you say, I like the news from the beginning of the meeting that Dudley's progressing in the right direction, and let's
Yep.
keep our fingers crossed that it continues.
right.
Let me jump in with a program that I'm working on. A joint program with the Historical Commission and the library. We want to put a memory box in the local history room, and people can send in reflections or ideas or whatever, one-page memory of something that happened or they're in the middle of. And the first suggestion we're going to have is they talk about the COVID year or the pandemic year and give their personal view. And we keep this information kind of like a time capsule, but one that's accessible. Nothing buried in a wall that we'll never find. Something that we could say, oh, somebody 20 years from now could go and say, oh, look, in the memory box, they had a whole thing about people responding to the pandemic in Dudley. So I'm working up a PR announcement of what that would be.
Great.
I'll ship it out to you guys so you can see what.
Very interesting.
Sounds good, Ed.
Sounds
Because
good.
I'm always looking for stuff and I say, I have nothing unless it went in print. And if it went in print, it's probably in newsprint. And you're never going to find that. flipping through all these newspapers. But if there's a file and it says certain years and reflections about dairy farms, whatever, in Dudley, then at least we got a shot at getting some of our information out there, not depending on something 100 years old.
Mhm.
So the PR that you're putting out at, is it for people to contribute
Yep.
to it? Okay. And
Yeah.
are you going to have a form for them to answer some questions?
No, they would send
Yes.
a 1-page, they'd be limited to a page.
Yep.
And we want their age and their name if they'll give it, but we don't want to restrict that. But I said, you know, for genealogists looking at stuff, it's always helpful if you give your birth and married name, that kind of stuff. So we're asking them to just make it coherent. I don't want a diary of 30 pages, you know, that no one's going to go through, but it's kind of like things in your head. This is what I remember from. And they could put a photo in there, just attach it to that page, but limit it to that 1 page so it's something easily filed and dealt with. I don't want a big piece of artwork, but they could do some art. You never know. It might work out great for teachers looking for things about getting
Great
students
idea.
to think about what's going on now or reflect on other things. It's a great assignment, I think. And then it's provides us with a lot of basis for goodies, maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. So we better.
Ed, are you going to throw out topics or are you just going to get random stuff?
And initially, we're going to ask that they respond to the pandemic.
Yeah, okay.
But we're asking them for any memory. It's kind of like Harry Potter, you know, you take it out of your head and you put it in the bowl and someone can find it later.
We hope.
Yeah, we're losing the stuff in our heads pretty fast, so we might as well codify it. So
Good
you'll
idea.
see that's coming up. I think that at least is an interesting idea.
Very.
It is. Yep, it is. All right. I don't have anything else unless somebody else has something.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Fine.
I will accept a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
All in favor? We need a roll call vote, please.
Ben, yes.
Ed, yes.
Pat Court, yes.
Joyce Narodzinski, yes.
Ta-da.
Meeting adjourned at
Ta-da.
6:40.
Bye-bye.
Good night.